and welcome back. This is the second part in the series, three-part series about the attributes and about whether being a VA is a good fit for you. I'm Paula Edwards and I'm the founder of Advanced Virtual Assistants. So let's dive straight in. One of the personal attributes that's really important about to make a successful and a strong virtual assistant is strong communication skills. It's so important to be able to communicate clearly and succinctly to your clients, because what you've got to remember is that we're all working virtually, or ordinarily, not always, but usually working virtually, and that your client isn't able to look over your shoulder or have a quick chat with you to find out how you're getting on with the certain jobs that they've tasked you with. So it's really important to keep them apprised of what's going on and where you are with things, especially when there's deadlines looming. Make sure that you keep them up to date on where you are with the project that they've asked you to do. If there's any issues, if you're waiting for something to come back from them, because they quite often are the bottleneck, and so often you have to ask more than once. Don't make the mistake of thinking, oh, I've asked them for that and now the ball's in their court, because they're busy and they forget and balls get dropped. It's about asking again and again and reminding them, I can't move forward without this information from you. So having strong communication skills that you can professionally communicate both in writing and verbally to your clients, so that they are feeling like you have got everything in control, you've got everything in hand, and they trust you that you're going to be able to do what you say you're going to be doing, because you're keeping them up to date on where you are with that particular task. So make sure that it's you keeping them updated and that they're not having to chase you. So just make sure you've got good communication skills in whichever way you communicate with your client. Another important skill to have is time management and being reliable. Clients depend on you to deliver what it is that they need on time. Now, of course, life gets in the way sometimes, and we sometimes aren't going to meet a deadline. And that's equally as important to communicate early. I know it feels uncomfortable to be the bearer of bad news, but it's far better to bear that news quickly and early on, so that we can make alterations to whatever it is that you're doing, so things aren't a big issue late in the day. You want to be able to make sure that you communicate that, but managing your time so long as nothing gets in your way, and getting that project over the line for the client in the time that they expect to is really important. So it's about knowing how to prioritize your workload and manage your own schedule, and stick to those deadlines that you've agreed with your clients, because being reliable really does help to build the trust, and having a client that trusts you really helps to maintain a long-term relationship. And even better than that, they may well refer you on to other people, because they find your communication and your reliability and your time management is just amazing, and they want to recommend you to other people. So that's really important. Another personal attribute is to be self-motivated, because as a virtual assistant, you are a business owner as well. You're in charge of your own time, and that's great. But there is occasionally the temptation to perhaps, I don't know, procrastinate or meet a friend for a coffee. All great, and you're totally able to do that, but make sure that you are motivated to do the work and meet those promises, as I've just discussed. Make sure that you're meeting the deadlines and you can manage your time and you're motivated to do the work. And think about how you work best. When's the best time of day for you to work? Perhaps you're able to do more deep thinking first thing in the morning, or not, or the opposite. Whichever it is, think about when you operate at your best, and manage your time accordingly, and your workload, and accordingly, and keep that motivation to make sure that you are meeting those deadlines, and that you're disciplined to manage your workload and keep your business moving forward, essentially. Another great attribute is to have attention to detail. Our clients rely on us to have attention to detail. Quite often they get so on a hamster wheel of running a million miles an hour, that things get missed or balls get dropped. And so they do rely on us to do that. We're that steady pair of hands that make sure things happen. So having that skill of attention to detail, picking up a spelling mistake, or when something's got forgotten, or I don't know, maybe they say something's attached when it hasn't been attached, managing an inbox, scheduling posts on time, proofreading and checking for spelling mistakes and grammar and that type of thing. But handling data and being really careful with data. So having that attention to detail is really a great attribute to have, and it gives the client confidence that you might spot things that they might miss. So that's another great attribute to have. Another one is integrity, and essentially integrity means that you'll do the right thing even when nobody is watching. I don't know whose quote that is, but I quite like it. Anyway, so clients need to know that they can trust you. Perhaps they deal with sensitive information. Perhaps they ask you to sign an NDA. Perhaps they just trust you not to talk about what's going on in their business with anybody else, because that would be unprofessional of you to do that and a lack of integrity. So having that level of integrity to understand what's appropriate to talk about outside that business, and also to make sure that you're honest and you follow through on what you say you're going to do, just shows that you're professional and it sets you apart from others potentially. Another great attribute is to have a problem-solving mindset. So when something crops up that you're not able to achieve what it is that you're trying to achieve, is this something you can resolve on yourself, or do you need to go back to the client? Because if you're having to go back to the client consistently, then it starts to not be a good use of their time, because it would have been quicker to have done it themselves. Now, of course, in the early days when you're learning to work with a new client, and every new client, it takes a bit of time to get used to all of these things, then they're going to expect you to ask lots of questions. But always have that mentality of, can I find a solution to this without bothering them? Of course, you must bother them if you aren't able to find a solution. Don't sit on it, and don't let things run over or be late or not meet a deadline because of it. But always sort of think, is there a solution that I can find to this problem? Or is there a tech glitch, or is there somebody else that can help me to resolve this? So just to be mindful of just thinking about things, maybe Google it, maybe work out how to fix something yourself, is a really good attribute to have, and clients will definitely be very grateful for that. The other thing in the VA world is you've got to have a willingness to learn, and having a willingness to learn is so important, because the technology that we use, the softwares that we use, is changing so rapidly. And if I can do it, I'm sure that you can. I love to learn new tech. I'm really fascinated by how it can help us, how we can fast track things, how we can save time in our business. So there's a lot, and every single client you're going to be learning something new, whether it's tech or how they work or about their business. There's always learning, and I think it's really amazing and fascinating that you have the opportunity to do that. So having a willingness to learn, like I said just now, maybe diving into Google something to find out how something works, how to fix something, being curious and adaptable, and basically just not afraid to try and giving it a go is really a great attribute to have. And finally, just one I want to share with you is having a growth mindset. It kind of follows on from that. And it's, every VA starts from somewhere. We all start with what we've got. And as you'll have heard in my previous, in part one of this video series, is like, we do have sufficient skills to start today, but, and that's absolutely fine, but we can learn to grow. And so what matters most is that you have the belief that you can grow and improve and build on something, and it doesn't matter what it is. You don't have to know all of the tech if that isn't your thing, but it might be that you want to learn or specialize or grow in certain areas of business. So having that growth mindset of just always being open to open your mind to learning new things, and staying committed to doing that is an amazing attribute to have. So I hope that's been helpful. Let me know in the comments whether this is you, whether you have all of these things, or if you've got concerns of maybe some things you haven't got. We're not expected to have all of these things, by the way. They're just helpful to have. So I hope that's been helpful, and I look forward to seeing you in part 3.